Hey everyone, your host Nick here, and you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. First, I want to remind you that we are a fully independent podcast, quite literally just a group of friends who have met once a week since 2008 to talk about video games. If you like our show, the best thing you can do for us is be active in our community. I recommend Discord. You can subscribe to our show, leave us a review on your preferred podcast service, or, if you're so inclined, bless us with your patronage on Patreon or Twitch. If you're new, all you need to know is this. We record these shows live every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central on Twitch, and the audio version launches on all podcast services on Friday morning. Patreon and Twitch supporters will even get the show a day early on Thursdays. But if you want to know more about any of this, about what we do, or find all the important links you need, simply visit us at 4playernetwork.com. And that's it. This is the only ad you'll ever hear on this show. So, with that said, thank you for listening. Let's get started. Started. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 784, February 20th, 2024. I'm your host, Nick Henderson, and I'm joined tonight by two people. Brad Simons.
Yeah.
Enthusiastic as always, and Christopher Davis.
3-Player Podcast, not 4-Player. Shut it down. Fucking fake ass podcast.
Hey, we've done a few of these shows recently where it's just been the three of us, and I think it's gone off without a hitch. It's been nice.
I swear to God,
not to say I don't miss Noel
God.
and Crispy and Ed, but sometimes it's nice to have a smaller group.
You tell me right now why you have a tingle for Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
Oh man, why do you put me on the spot? Like what?
I want to know.
I mean,
why you look at that and say, yeah.
Here's the thing. And I didn't even necessarily say it's for me, but it's one of those things where it's like, I'd like to find out if it's for me.
Okay. So RoboCop's not in the I like to find out here.
RoboCop, I'm pretty confident. Here's the thing. It's less... Oh, God.
Why Noted JRPG hater Nick Henderson would rather play a JRPG than watch RoboCop. Not worthy of. I'd like to find out.
That is actually so. You know what? Why don't we talk about that for a second? Because
that's a good way to open.
Listen. We have a smaller group tonight. We don't have a ton of news. It's going to be a very impressions heavy show. So we're going to bounce around a little bit tonight. We're going to go a little freeform, and I feel like this is a good opportunity. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, and Brad came up with this fun idea to basically. I like the pitch that it has now become a way to prove that I'm somehow not racist against Japanese games, right? So I have to earn 10 points by the end of the year by playing Japanese-developed games, and if I get to 10 points, I'm not racist. That's how Brad has laid these rules out. But Brad has decided how many points...
I have the list if you want me to read it off.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Brad has the list of how many points each game is worth. But here's the kicker. I only get the points if I complete the game, if I see the credits roll. Right? So, yep. Brad, why don't you lay it out? These are the games.
Right, here we go.
And obviously, this list might grow.
The goal is 10 points equals not racist. So,
I thought that was kind of a short.
I thought about maybe a bonus today. If you really go all out and hit 15 points, maybe I'll do a next year. We'll do a Nick. You curate a points based list, and I have to hit a certain amount of points.
Oh man.
Something to that effect. I don't know, but that's for the bonus. You got to really go all out on Japanese games this year, which, let's be honest, I mean, if you look at the lineup this year, it seems like most of the interesting games are coming from Japan. But let's start with 1 point. 1 point easy. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, that's 1 point because you're going to play.
These are the givens. These are the ones I'm definitely going to play regardless.
Few Japanese games you actually play are the Final Fantasy games.
That is true. That is true.
I moved some stuff around a little bit, but nothing you've started, so don't worry about that. The Tekken 8 story mode, also 1 point, just because I think you could knock that out in a day if you really wanted to.
See, that's another one of those things where it's like, I don't know. Listen, man. If I couldn't
complicated, it's just a fighting game story mode.
But I started the Mortal Kombat story mode, and I was super excited about that, and I didn't finish it.
Okay, so real quick, you have to fight for these points.
As a qualifier to this list, I'm trying to understand. This is just Japanese games, right?
Japanese games. They have to be developed in Japan.
So are points distributed based on the type of game?
Chinese games might count. I mean, there's definitely an aesthetic that you find repulsive, right?
Here, okay, listen, Chris Davis, just for some context here, and for everybody listening at home, the running joke for a while now is that I don't like Japanese games because for whatever reason,
don't finish them. You sometimes buy them and start them.
I start a lot and I don't finish a lot. But I also, like, there's been times where it's like, I really like this game, which is, like, for a perfect example would be, like, last year I was like, man, I loved Sea of Stars. And everybody was like, that looks like a Japanese game, but it was not made in Japan. It does not count. It is, like, a Western-made game.
Same with the other
Chained Echoes, which I beat. I beat Chained Echoes and I beat Sea of Stars, but neither one of them were actually JRPGs.
And Final Fantasy VI, on the other hand, disgusting to you.
Yes, I didn't finish.
You couldn't be bothered.
Yeah, so it's become a running joke. So obviously, I'm not racist. But it is funny. Allegedly. It is funny. So I'm going to try my best.
All right, let me get through this list. Also, 1 point, Princess Peach Showtime. I mean, really, I feel like even giving you that. I mean, that's obviously Nintendo has kind of its own aesthetic, but whatever. Princess Peach Showtime, 1 point. 2 points, Dragon's Dogma 2. The Paper Mario 2 remake.
There's zero chance of me not playing. Okay, slow down a second. Dragon's Dogma 2. I'm gonna play that.
I know you're gonna play it, but are you gonna finish it? 2 points.
I finished the first one.
How many years did it take you to finish the first one?
I mean, a while.
Paper Mario 2, the remake, 2 points.
We'll see.
Again, it's less points because it's just the Mario aesthetic or whatever. Rise of the Ronin, 2 points.
These are all games that I'm
maybe I should raise the point
play.
value on there because I know how you feel about Team Ninja games. Gross, right? 3 points, Deca Police. I put Deca Police there because you've already shown interest in it. You've drafted it. You might.
I am very, and I love level 5. I love level 5. Here's the thing: the tricky thing about that is level 5 is one of those studios. I think they make great games, but their games are pretty long. They can be pretty beefy, and I think I've dropped off more level 5 games than I have finished.
That's true. That, and I know you have an affinity for cop-based media, so
I do.
Deca Police definitely.
Shut up, Chris Davis. I know what you're thinking. I don't care about RoboCop.
I moved Grand Blue Fantasy Relink down to 3 points because I found out that campaign is only like 20 hours. You could probably knock that out pretty quick, and you have a little bit of interest in it.
I'm still thinking about it,
even if it's silly. 4 points. I have the Persona 3 remake. You got to finish it.
Wait. That was 5 points last time I looked.
Look, no. I moved that down like a week ago when I said.
All right, I'm gonna pull this list up that you sent me today, and if I see that it says Persona,
it's not. I didn't move it today. Let me keep going. Persona 3 remake and Metaphor ReFantazio are 4 points. Got to finish them. Okay. 5 points. I have Unicorn Overlord.
Oh,
the new Vanillaware game, and
I am interested in that.
Oh, he's not finishing that. There's no fucking way.
It's more of a Brad game.
I have finished a Vanillaware game, by the way.
I know this ain't one of those, dog.
No, it's not.
I mean, it is a Vanillaware game.
Yes, but it ain't a fucking mindless action game.
I didn't say it was the same. I'm saying,
and it's not an incredible narrative like 13 Sentinels.
Would you rather spend time playing 13 Sentinels or Unicorn Overlord?
Chris Davis seems certain.
Damn,
poor Chris Davis. 6 points, Visions of Mana. I just,
we're getting into the territory of like anything of this territory is highly unlikely.
Yeah, I know, but you just have to knock one of these out. You play one of these in Final Fantasy and Dragon's Dogma, you're there, buddy.
I'm approaching 30 hours in Persona, and I am showing no signs of losing interest or slowing down.
Okay. You've also done 30 hours in other Persona games.
No, I stopped almost on the dot, like at 20 hours at both Persona 4 and 5. So I have crossed the threshold. I'm in uncharted territory as far as Persona games go for me.
Okay.
Nick, I just looked it up.
Final Fantasy, Dragon's Dogma, and Persona. That's only 7 points, dog.
Paper Mario is only 31 hours to beat, Nick.
Okay.
All right. We'll see.
Yeah, but that's also funny, and we know how Nick feels about laughs. 7 points. Ayuden Chronicles.
I am a backer on that game.
Okay, good for you. Remember, you lose a point every time you say it's on my shelf.
Oh fuck!
Buying a game app means nothing. So you've purchased many Japanese games in your life, Nick.
Nick is
All
gonna
right,
like
7 points. Also 7 points. Like a Dragon Infinite. Big points if you finish a Yakuza game.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
come
this
on,
one's
I feel
coming.
Nick.
All these are this year games because I believe if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it this year, right?
Yeah.
For new
Infinite
stuff,
Wealth
you're
is
more
so
likely
good.
to play. I know.
I'm just saying.
8
If
points.
here's the
8
problem.
points.
Wait, but real quick. Just here's the problem, Chris Davis. If I was to suddenly jump into Yakuza, I would start with 0. I'm not a crazy person.
No, you don't have to start with 0. Actually, I mean, it doesn't matter.
He said it.
Just
He said it on the record. Somebody clip that. I am absolved. I've.
You're not
Thank you.
absolved, you knob.
I'm ending the show now. This is the last 4Player episode ever.
You dweeb, listen. You chose 6 at the worst time. This was pre Judgment and pre Yakuza 7, which are also good starting points for this larger series. 6, I maintain, is still the worst place to start. Maybe Yakuza 3. All right. 8 points, East 10. I think this is a gimme. I feel like you could pick up an East game. Those are very fun and playable. Easy 8 points for you, dude. Suikoden 1 and 2 HD. You got to finish both of them. Also 8 points. 9 points. You play this in Final Fantasy, you're there. Not racist. Official. Trails Through Daybreak. Trails Through Daybreak. The start of the most recent modern arc of the Trails series. I watched the trailer. I think you would be pleasantly surprised. I think you would have more fun with Trails Through Daybreak than you would with Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. 9 points, dude. 9 points. Challenge yourself.
Let's
watch
at least
RoboCop, that challenging film.
Let's at least acknowledge here for a second, Brad, that no matter how I get to 10 points, if I get to 10 points, I have absolved myself.
The funny thing is you see a path forward and you have no idea what you're getting into.
What are you talking about? What makes you think I don't know what I'm getting myself into?
Do the fucking math. I don't see your 10 points on this list.
Dude,
Brad, can I add a game to that list?
Play one game. We're at 10 points. We got one game. You play a single game. Saga Emerald Beyond. And you get 10 points in one. Double or nothing.
I think you're underestimating me. We'll see.
I'm underestimating you. You're so convinced Unicorn Overlord is.
I didn't say necessarily Unicorn Overlord, but there is a decent number of games on that list that I'm already interested in and excited about.
And you're gonna finish.
I'm planning on finishing.
I actually went back and looked at the past 10 years. You have finished 3 Japanese games in that
bullshit.
time.
That's bullshit. You monster. Nobody listen to him. That's not accurate. We're gonna see how this goes.
Start removing Nintendo games and Final Fantasies, and it starts looking pretty grim now.
Oh, Nick.
That might. What?
I just looked up Saga Emerald Beyond. There's no fucking way.
Well, yeah, of course. I'm not even entertaining that.
10 points.
Not even entertaining the notion of that game.
I mean,
he could spend a year on it. He wouldn't beat it.
Would you believe me if I told you Saga Scarlet Graces is considered by people who are take this genre very seriously to have the greatest RPG battle system of all time?
Would I believe you? Yes, of course I would believe you. Brad, believe it or not, I trust you. I trust your input. I trust that you know what you're talking about when it comes to this stuff.
Challenge yourself, Nick. Challenge yourself. I think you can crawl your way to single point gimmies. That's fine. You'll get your 10 points, but you're not going to impress anyone. I'm saying you need to take on something.
You're telling me if I don't finish Persona 3 Reload, you're going to not be impressed.
What?
Sorry. If I finish Persona 3
I won't
Reload,
be that
you wouldn't
impressed
be
if you finish. I think that's an easy 4 points for you.
You motherfucker.
I mean, you're already fucking playing it.
He's already trying to make my accomplishment seem less impressive before I even accomplish anything.
I'm just saying there's a 15-point bonus that you could shoot for if you really believe in yourself.
Maybe I will. Maybe I fucking will. I'll do the math. Don't you worry. I have the points. I'm ready to go. I'll keep you posted.
I just can't wait to see the tears in his eyes as Nick has to play that awful Princess Peach game. He's like, I gotta get to 10 points. This game sucks so fucking hard. But I did anything but anime bullshit. I gotta do it.
Brad,
Oh,
if
man.
you were to add to the list EDF 6, how many points would that be?
That's not a Japanese. I mean, okay.
That,
what is he gonna finish? Is he gonna get credits on an EDF game?
I think that's at least 4 points because that is a demanding game.
He's never gonna finish that. Sure, 4 points EDF.
Fuck, I have almost zero interest in EDF, so I don't think it's a moot point.
We know
anyways.
how he feels about things he has no interest in.
Right, it's like EDF might as well be RoboCop. Let's move on. Okay.
You are so terrible tonight.
And a waste of my time.
Yeah. Hey, what do you know? I know myself. Okay. Anyways, video games. We're here to talk about them. We're gonna get to impressions here in a bit. Of course, I want to talk a little bit about Fantasy Critic. Before we do that, I want to quickly remind everybody, all of our top 10 videos for 2023 are out there. Go check them out. We appreciate
not all, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm working on a second video, but that doesn't have any impact on like overall thing. I'm basically making an honorable mentions video. Which is going to have about six games on it. But whatever, that's just more for my own benefit. I hope you all enjoy it. I hope you watch it, but it's going to have zero impact on the actual like community top 10.
Is it going to come out before March?
I've recorded my audio. I have not. I have 2 games I got to capture footage for, and then I'll send it all to Chris Davis. But one of the I'll get all that stuff to you soon.
Yeah,
I would be working on that tonight, except here we are recording a podcast as we always do. But anyways, appreciate everyone who takes the time to watch our videos. We really appreciate it. You can find them on 4playernetwork.com. You can find them on YouTube. You can find them on Twitter and all that stuff. So anyways, Fantasy Critic. Some stuff has transpired.
Okay, let me take the reins here, Nick.
That's what I was I was coaxing you into that.
Fantasy Critic. This has been a tragedy for me. I've been on full tilt this week.
I know
It's a combination of things. The Balatro fiasco. Nolan got Balatro. He outbid me. I didn't think he was going to spend $8 on it, but it's February and that's an indie. I didn't think he would go that high.
Can I bring this to interject here real quick just to make a point on the record? Because I feel pretty strongly about this. And obviously, just keep in mind, me saying this has zero impact because I don't have any control over the rules of how Fantasy Critic works or anything. But over the past year and some change now, I've noticed I feel like if a game doesn't get more than like 20 reviews, if it's over 90, it shouldn't be getting the double points that come with being over 90. Like the number of games that's
just something the game. That's part of the game, man.
I think that's kind of bullshit. Like when a game pulls in like 8 reviews, sits at a 96 or something. I feel like it should get all
that. That doesn't really happen though.
I think it's kind of happening here with Balatro. Balatro's been sitting at like 11 or 12 reviews.
You sweet summer child. It's got 12 reviews.
Yeah, I don't think that's enough.
It's at a 94.
Right, and like I feel like
it's going to go down a little bit, but why are you worried about double points? The thing is, there's a risk of games with lower scores with less scores because a lower score affects it more.
Wait, what? I don't know what you just said.
There's a risk. Games with less reviews are at risk of huge point fluctuations.
Yes, of course.
But I'm saying you can luck out, but it also comes with the risk. The thing is, Balatro is not being lucky here. It's going to keep getting reviews, and it's not going to stray that far.
I don't know. I keep going back every once in a while and looking at my Gravity Circuit reviews from last year, and that game is still sitting at like 14 reviews.
Yeah, but Balatro ain't that. Balatro is going to be a phenomenon, and people are going to be talking about it at the end of the year. And the thing is, I saw it coming, but I didn't bid enough, and it's killing me. It is killing me. Yeah, it's the Pizza Tower of this year. Well, no, Pizza Tower. No one played Pizza Tower, but people are going to play Balatro because it's like the roguelike of the moment. You know what I mean? It's like it has big Slay the Spire energy.
Then here's my question: why did you only bid $5 on it? If you know that,
I bid $6. I bid
$6. But like that
because it's very early.
It's an indie roguelite, and Nolan is built for those. Like that's what Nolan.
Yeah, but Nolan, I'd argue Nolan didn't really know what he had. I mean, he played the demo and was like, well, this is fun. But I'm saying I didn't think he would I didn't think he would bid that much or even bid at all. The thing is, I didn't know I introduced the bid before him, but he did as well.
I'm just saying, I didn't know if you truly thought that this was going to be a huge hit, I feel like you would have bid more than $6, regardless of whether you thought somebody else was actually going to bid on it. I thought this was like
guaranteed easy 85 plus. Okay.
Then I feel like you should have bid like $10+ on it.
But you weigh that against the fact that it's some fucking indie game that no one's ever heard of, right? And that no one's introduced the bid in.
So you're beating yourself because you underestimated your opponents.
I underestimated, or no, it wasn't even underestimating. I didn't think he would spend that much money on something that's relatively unknown because it's very early in the year and we both had $100. You know, like last year he played it very slow and we had the most money for a very long time because we were lowballing lots of games. Like, look, this early in the year, I was spending $1 on games. Me spending $6 was me thinking I would grab this. I didn't expect him to spend $8 on it. Oh, this demo was kind of fun from Next Fest. You know what I mean? It is fun, but that's a lot of money. What I forgot, the one thing I didn't take into account is the fact that he got a pretty big L early on when he counterpicked Prince of Persia, which means he's pretty much committed to the super drop, which means he doesn't need to keep the money lead. He knows he's going to waste $40 anyways. So if I had taken that into account, maybe I would have spent a little bit more, but it's a lot. Like that's the thing. I felt like this is a game that no one would have, like, for what I mean is Nolan certainly didn't know that this thing was about to blow up, you know? So I didn't think he would go that high. I mean, that's basically it, right?
Maybe
like Nolan... I spent $6 instead of $1 or $3 because I wanted it. I just didn't expect him to spend that much.
Here's the thing. I don't necessarily know what Nolan's thought process was here, but, and you know, maybe he didn't know it was going to be an 85, but I also get the feeling like when a game like this comes along, if Nolan plays that kind of game and is like, it's pretty fun, I feel like that's a pretty good indicator because he plays so many of those games.
I don't,
you know what I mean? I'm not saying this like
I'm saying like, you know, it's like a Dave the Diver situation. I was able to sneak that in last year because no one was really paying attention to it. I was planning to do the same with Balatro. I didn't even know if Nolan would bid on it. He had like a 5-second mention of it last podcast, and I was dead fucking quiet because I was planning on bidding on this weeks ago, but I waited because I wanted to see what Ultros would score because the score of Ultros would determine if I was going to have to spend my super drop or not. And if Ultros scored higher, I would have committed to the super drop and I would have spent a lot more probably on Balatro because keeping the money means less to me as far as like holding the money power, you know what I mean? But because Ultros was kind of right on the edge of, is it worth it for the super drop? I was a little bit more conservative. And,
that's fair.
You know, we were going into a Nintendo Direct and I didn't want to blow the money lead necessarily going into a Nintendo Direct, you know, that it's, you know, I'm saying
that Nintendo Direct
me doing
tomorrow,
$6
right?
was a lot for me at the time. The thing is, it is scoring really high and it's going to stay around that. It's probably going to end up around where Dave the Diver did, probably like a 90 actually, because, and we'll talk about it later, the game is very phenomenal, but it was very like under the radar. This one did surprise a lot of people. There was one other person in one other league that actually bid on Balatro and he got it for $1. What I'm saying is this was not high profile, but if you were paying attention to the right places, the right people, like roguelike content creators, you knew that they were spending hours, like dozens of hours playing the fucking demo for this game, putting out videos. Those videos were doing well for the demo of this game. They knew it was about to blow up and it did. And the scores reflect that and it's worth it.
So why don't we just roll right into Balatro then?
Nolan's wallet, I guess. So I'm bummed out, but there's one other thing that I want to mention because there's one other thing that has me really bummed, right? And that's the Switch news. The Switch news is that it's now maybe probably coming in. I don't even know the details, but everyone seems to is treating it like fact that it's coming in Q1 of 2025. That is catastrophic for my league because one of my spicy plays was drafting the unannounced 3D Mario game. That doesn't happen without a Switch launch.
Catastrophic for just your league, sir?
Shut up. There is zero chance of a 3D Mario game launching on this current Switch. Now, maybe a Donkey Kong game, depending on what kind of Donkey Kong game it is.
Real quick, though.
But an Odyssey 2 on a Switch 1, it's not going to happen.
Once they confirm that, you can probably drop that Mario game, can't you?
I'm not going to fucking drop it. That's like an amateur move. Look, I'm not some newbie fucking player over here. I'm not that dumb.
Jesus Christ, Brad.
No, I'm saying it would be stupid to drop.
Fuck Mario. Me then, right? Jesus.
Well, I mean, hey, if you're not using your noggin, don't blame me, but this is a game here. The reason I wouldn't drop Mario yet is because
this motherfucker.
Listen, even if Switch 2 doesn't come out this year, they might announce it, and they might announce it with a new Mario game, and at that point, it becomes a free delay drop. I don't want to waste my time.
I was saying you can use your free drop for that.
No. Only if they announce it for next year.
Which they probably would.
Well, I mean, if it even exists. I'm saying I'm not going to waste the unconditional drop now for Mario. So yeah, I'm pretty bummed. I mean, those things, Balatro was something I did not expect not to get. I did not expect it to overperform like it did, and I'm that's very impressive. But now it makes Nolan a threat yet again. The whole concept of the super drop was rubber banding, right? He took a pretty big L that basically does not exist for him anymore. And he already has Persona and this with other good games to come. So this is a huge W for him, which
it's going to be an
I hate that we're going to go through this whole year worried about Nolan again, but it seems like that's going to be the case.
I don't know how to tell you this, Brad, but that's probably the way it's going to be until the end of time.
He's got 40 plus points without even his number one pick yet. You know what I mean? And you know what? His other counter pick I think is pretty good. So yeah. Anyways,
was his other one Ghost Bike or was it?
Yeah, Ghost Bike, which I could see easily slipping out of this year.
Okay, well, since you've really really built up Balatro, why don't we just roll right into that because we were going to talk about it tonight. So let's talk about the game in question, Balatro,
a game
roll that sweet
that you would never play, right, Nick?
Is this what this is about
poker?
Is that the theme of this show?
I kind of like it. Yeah, I like that as a theme. The tingle in Nick's pants, we'll call it.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
No, can't do that because I've got 100 character limit on YouTube, so it's got to be something shorter.
Do you want to know? Do you want to know how I feel about poker? You want to know how I feel about poker?
Yeah, sure.
I forget how to play poker every time I stop playing poker. That's
the good
how
news
I feel
is
about
you
poker.
don't really have to know how to play poker.
Right? Well, I'm still probably
it's just a video game. Do you know how to follow rules for a video game?
Sometimes.
This is a soup. I mean, here's the thing. Here's the reason that Balatro is blowing up because it's like fucking crack. They had a really simple idea, but a super cool and clever idea, and that's to take like a card-based roguelike, but just make it like poker rules, right? But then really twist those poker rules in really fun, crazy, hilarious ways. So I'm watching an ad, so I'm not actually looking at the footage, but I don't know what you're looking at. You're looking at a bunch of playing cards.
It looks like poker.
Yeah, it looks like a poker game, but it's not just a poker game. Look at all these cards I'm drawing. You're trying to make the best possible hands because you score points by playing good hands. Like
poker.
2 of a kinds, shit, but a full house or a 4 of a kind is great, right? And you're trying to reach those hands to get different point totals to beat your current blind or your current battle. You could call it to get through to the next battle. And if you don't meet the score required, the blind of that battle, you lose and you have to start the run over again. But there's lots of things to modify your score, right? It's not just the hand you play. There's a lot going on here. You get all these like modifiers. Like you get there's packs. The main thing is the jokers, right? There's like dozens of jokers that you can get in this game that like dramatically change the way your points are scored. And some like I'm looking at the screen and I see Odd Todd. You get Odd Todd on your panel of 5 jokers, and all of a sudden all of your odd cards, your 3s and your 5s and your 7s and your aces, have a point multiplier or whatever, for example. But then it gets like really crazy. There's like let's say a hobo joker. I don't know what it's actually called. Like a hobo joker, where every time you play a hand with less than $4 in your bank, you spawn a tarot card. Because these aren't just playing cards, you got tarot cards as well. And all those tarot cards will do things like, I don't know, double the amount of money you have. Or let's say turn 3 cards, it'll draw like a random hand. Turn any 3 of these cards into spades, right? Or so now all of a sudden your deck of even amount of spades, hearts, clubs, and diamonds are now have 4 extra spades and maybe 4 less diamonds, right? Meaning it's probably a lot easier to make a flush, which is a hand of 5 cards that are all the same suit. And there's lots of like things that will really, like you can play a 5 of a kind because there are ways to change cards from like a king to an ace or anything to an ace, right? And then there's a joker that gives you like crazy multiplier bonuses for playing aces. So it's all about modifying your deck.
So it's like
really
poker
cool,
on crack
ways.
is basically what this is.
Oh, well, it's super, super fucking addictive, right? And
yeah,
like crazy.
So it's poker,
addictive.
Strangely enough. Just
well, yeah, but this is addictive
poker.
more just like in the way it's like a roguelike, right? Like there's a lot of really smart, clever ideas. Like some of the jokers and the way you combine jokers to like exponentially boost your multipliers and your points is like super fun, right? Because if you just play a shitty hand, you get like hardly any points. But if you play the right hand at the right time with the right arrangement of jokers, you'll go from scoring like 300 points to like 3 million points. And half the time you're like, how the fuck did that even happen? That's crazy. But there's a method to the madness, and figuring that out is so fucking fun. There's all these different like card types that are like that you see in like Pokemon card collecting, like holographic and foil card and stuff, and you get those modifications on jokers and they start like really popping off and doing crazy things. And then there's shops where you're buying like packs of cards and like that's so cool. Like there's this joker, I don't know if you can see it, it's called like a misprint, which is sort of like a card collecting thing where like say a picture is like slightly off center, right? They would call it a misprint or something. And this thing has like a random multiplier where you don't know what the multiplier is going to be. It could be very low, it could be nothing, or it could be really high. It's just a cool like interaction. There's so many cool, clever interactions. There's so many cool joker types. They get really clever and really goofy, and it's just insanity. And like the presentation's top notch, the sound effects are top notch. This game, it might not look like much at a first glance, but it actually has a really good look to it. This feels like a simple idea that is like super clever, super cool, and they executed on it in like extraordinarily well, and that's why this game is getting 9s and 10s, because there's no room to like, there's no baggage here, there's no room to fuck up, it doesn't have a bad story or bad pacing or like bad, like, some tech issues or this is jankier than this indie game is really cool. Indica's cool, but it's a little janky compared to, I don't know, God of War. So it's a fucking 8. Indie tax, boom. But this is almost immune to the kinds of negatives that would drag down your average indie game, and people are so addicted.
But isn't it also just kind of built on the shoulders of one of the most games that's one of the most addicting games ever made? Just
are you general? On about poker again?
I mean, yeah, it's literally when it comes down to it, you're playing poker. You're just playing poker with like a lot of extra rules.
What are you saying? There's lots of video games that are like at our core are based on things like,
I don't know. Maybe I'm just bitter that it's like this is the game that's gonna like take Nolan across the finish line. You know what I mean?
You're bitter now, you motherfucker. He's the one who snagged it for me for $2 extra. I was following this fucking game.
I know. It's just, I mean,
you're bitter. You didn't even know what this was 2 days ago.
I know, and I'm still like, here's the thing. I get it. Whatever.
Don't be mad at it because it's earning these points. It's valid. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna have to take your word for it, I suppose. I just,
95 is a little bit high, sure, but I mean 94, and it's going to go down a little bit, I'm sure.
Like, I'm looking at this,
but
and I'm
it's
thinking
not going
about
to go down that much.
I'm looking at this, and like, but I'm thinking about just how much more. Oh, no, I don't want. It's not even fair to like draw comparisons and shit. It's just
no.
I don't. You know what? I don't know. Maybe I should just.
How'd you feel about Dave the Diver last year?
Maybe I should plead the fifth on this game.
Well, yeah, I don't.
Because obviously, I'm
input on Balatro. You already said you're not interested in it.
I mean, I don't play poker. I don't play card games in general. It's just like it was a miracle. It was a miracle.
I will say you don't have to have like knowledge or interest in like poker to actually like click with this game. I mean, like I said, video games are. I mean, we've been playing video games our whole lives. They have rules. You learn those rules and mechanics, and you play them. You can play this game just like you would any other video game. I mean, that in poker is not even that complicated. 3 sevens is worth more than 2 sevens, and 4 sevens is worth more than 3 sevens. It's not complicated. You play a hand of 5 hearts. That's called the flush. And they actually have a little thing you could pull up that has the point values for each different hand type, and you can play planet cards to level those up so they're worth even more and really lean into like a full house build. It's funny to think of like these poker hands as like leaning into builds, but between like the way you can level things up and the variety of jokers you have, like you like your typical build based roguelike. It's cool. Like it's cool when it feels like an idea that you had, a tactic you had, a build that you had is coming together, and you see it in the points when they just blow up, and it's crazy. This is really good. It looks good. It sounds good. The music's good. Like the visually, like the way it moves, the sound effects, it's so good. It's all so good. It's super addictive. I'm scared of this game because there are so many like regular like single player RPGs and stuff that I'm playing right now and that are coming out, like games I really want to be playing. I feel like I'm already drowning this year, and it's February, and that's because I like Japanese games, Nick. But
motherfucker, I'm playing Persona 3 over here, bro.
That PS2 game. Get in this century, decade, dude.
No, I don't know what you want from me.
I don't want anything.
There's nothing you can provide that will make him happy, Nick.
I'm playing Yakuza. I'm playing Tekken. I'm playing Kingsway. I'm still playing Fire Emblem. I'm playing all these fucking
I don't like
games.
any of those games.
Tomb Raider Anniversary. Fucking Final Fantasy's coming out. Unicorn Overlord's coming out. Dragon's Dogma's coming out. Rise of the Ronin's coming out. Those are all must plays for me. This shit is crazy, and this game is gonna ruin all of that.
See, Brad's experience. I feel like Brad's already on the verge of doing what like a lot of people did last year. Like, oh my god, it's one of the greatest years ever.
Yeah, but these games are actually,
Yes, yeah. What they're actually what, Brad? They're actually what, huh?
They're actually coming out shortly.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're sequels to their known quantities and not, random bullshit.
Anyways, where do we go from here?
Yeah, I mean, like a Dragon, Yakuza 8 it was a much more known quantity than Final Fantasy 16, Nicholas. Dragon's Dogma 2 is more of a known quantity than Starfield was, Nicholas.
That's true, I suppose. Whatever. Anyways,
Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth is a sequel, Nicholas.
Are you saying it Tekken like 8 that?
Was a sequel, Nicholas.
Okay, you're freaking me out a little bit. All right. Let's talk
Unicorn Overlord is the spiritual successor to 13 Sentinels, and it's going to be awesome in all the same ways that 13 Sentinels was. Right?
If only Nick would have played 13 Sentinels, he would know this.
I'm also joking. It has nothing to do with 13 Sentinels.
It actually doesn't. Yeah, I was wondering why you're saying that.
Okay.
I love 13 Sentinels. It was like my number 4 game of that year, but I still want to see you hurt on this one, Chris Davis. I am tired of you even associating Unicorn Overlord with 13 Sentinels. They are in different stratospheres of types of games.
I know that. I fucking know that, but I can't be optimistic and want to play The next Vanillaware game?
Hey, sure, man. If it gets you to play a Brad game, then it's a dub.
Wait a second. He gets a free pass on that, but I can't be excited to play Unicorn Overlord because I enjoyed Muramasa the Demon Blade?
No.
Oh God, no. Well, both of y'all are wrong. I mean, both of y'all are in for a rude awakening, but like Muramasa is at least. I mean,
I'm more prepared for this than Nick is because I played a bit of Tactics Ogre. So
all right, let's.
I am 15% more prepared than Nick.
And I'm not very prepared. Okay, so
it's Ogre Battle.
I had a decision to make this week in terms of what I spent my time playing, because I am playing a lot of Persona 3, which I will talk a little bit about later. But since I've already talked about that once, I want to focus on the other game that I'm playing. We had 2 games come out kind of on the same day or a couple days apart. Actually, I don't think it was the same day. And I was kind of interested in both of them. And one of them was Banishers, which I'm still planning on playing at some point. But the other one was Ultros. And I was like, I'm only going to have time for one of these games. If that.
Banisher seems more your flavor.
It does. But it's also like a 30+ hour game. And like I said, I'm already playing Persona. And I am very, 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 very excited to actually play through Pacific Drive. So I was like, what would be a better use of my time? Because I can probably get through Ultros. I have a higher chance of getting through Ultros before Pacific Drive than Banishers. So I went with Ultros. Also, I saw somebody online say something that really got my attention about Ultros, and I was just curious. And I love a good Metroidvania, right? And that's kind of whoa, what's happening? That's kind of where where I was coming from when I say it's one of these like 2D side-scrolling, colorful, cool art style looking Metroidvanias. Who knows? Those are kind of a dime a dozen these days, but like you never really know whether you're gonna get like a retread or something that has like unique mechanics, right?
This one was pretty.
No, it is pretty. It is pretty, and it is very pretty. It's actually almost a little too pretty. It's like a little. It's kind of sensory let's say.
Sensory overload.
I was about to say overlord. Sensory overload. Right, and I've seen some people complain about that because it's almost like when you're playing it, it's so colorful and so much going on. Yeah, I haven't. I've adjusted to it, and I don't think it's much of an issue for me at this point. There are a lot of situations where it's kind of like I don't know if I can actually interact with this thing or like hit it, so I just go around and I try swinging at everything, and what you hit, what you don't, doesn't matter. Move on. But what I didn't really know about this game going in is it's first of all, it's a bit of a head scratcher, right? I'm like 4 hours into this game at this point, which I hear it's not a very long game. I hear it's like 8 to 10 hours, so I might actually be quite a ways through this. But
maybe you know less about this game than you think.
Well, have you played it, Brad?
No, but I mean I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and I know that there's like a kind of a loop thing going on.
There is. What you trying to undercut me here? I'm like, what?
No, go ahead.
God, you've killed my
I just
train
didn't
of
know. I should know if it seemed like you were approaching the end of what maybe is a loop as opposed to
No. I've already gone through the loop about 5 times.
Gotcha.
In this game, the loops actually are not very long, or at least not at the point where I'm at. And one, I didn't really know the loop aspect was in this game prior to playing it, and I didn't really know what the primary mechanic was, right? And the primary mechanic, and I played the demo for this last week, so the primary mechanic seems to be, you're attacking enemies and you're collecting their like organs, and all their organs have different values of like nutrients, right? And you're looking for different kinds of nutrients to like fill up these bars, which will then let you unlock certain abilities in the skill tree. But when the loop starts over, when the story you go through this like time loop, right? Or so you reset things, and then when you come back, the skill tree is blank again. But you can find these items in the world that you can then use to lock in things on the skill tree so they don't go away with each loop. Which is interesting in and of itself. It kind of makes exploring really important.
I think I heard you.
Yeah. So that's the thing that I didn't have any. And honestly, that's the thing that kind of makes this game more unique than anything. And I am honestly still trying to kind of like wrap my head around it and what it actually is. And the thing that I kind of mentioned, I think I may have mentioned it last week. I saw somebody talking about this on Twitter, and they alluded to something that's being like, it actually has it secretly kind of has like one of these like really elaborate side quests that you go on that's completely optional, that's like really mind blowing. And I'm pretty sure it's all tied to this planting system. And I'm trying to figure it out because the game is really obtuse. I don't really understand what's happening in the story. When they talk, it's kind of like talking in riddles. Like, I'm not entirely sure what the fuck is going on here or how things work. It's just kind of a lot of experimentation. And like half the time when the loop starts over, I'm like, okay, I don't even know where I'm supposed to go. So it's just kind of running around, seeing what I can access now that I couldn't before. But you get this like thing that if you see it in the footage, it's like a string with this like thing floating at the end of it, and that's what allows you to double jump. And as you beat these like main enemies in the game, and that's what kind of starts over each loop, it unlocks new aspects of that, and that gives you different abilities. So like this, I unlocked this one that lets me like cut through like thick foliage. So like when you get to an area that has these like thick trees, I can cut through them and go straight through them. But here's the kicker too. When you plant things in the ground, because you're constantly like finding seeds and things that you can plant in the soil, you plant in the soil, and when you reset the loop, it's not really a loop. It's like going dormant, I guess, and it's like it implies like years and years and years have passed. So when you wake up from it again, the things that you planted are now bigger and take up more space, and they have new things attached to them. So I think you're like, here's what I'm trying to figure out. I've yet to kind of wrap my head around. And this is what makes it so confusing, is because there's like these glowy, soily bits all over the place, and you have all these different kinds of seeds that grow different kind of plants that do different things. And I don't really know what the stratagem is for deciding what plants to plant where. And I at first I thought it was going to be pretty obvious, because it was like one grows a tree out of the ground that you can then use once it grows high enough. You can like jump onto it and get to new places. That seems pretty obvious. But there's other ones that do weird other shit that I haven't quite figured out. But like the more loops you go through, the more the more abilities you kind of unlock for this floaty thing that's attached to you or whatever. I just got the ability to like drill under the ground and like unroot plants, which is really strange. Like you actually drill into the ground and you're controlling it, and you have to go under the plant and then like boost up at it and like push the plant out of the ground, and that gives you other shit that I don't know what to do with yet. So I thought it was going to be way more combat focused than it is, but it really isn't. I've spent way more time exploring and trying to figure out this planting system than actually fighting things. But one thing
it sounds more like a 76 than an 81.
Sure. I don't even know what to say to that. It's a weird game. I can see why, cuz it's a Metroidvania, and I think it's a really solid Metroidvania, but at the same time, it's also very I don't man, I don't know. I don't know what
it's boring.
No, it's not boring. It's kind of the opposite of boring. But it's also it's just a head scratcher. I thought after like 4 or 5 hours of playing this game, I would have a much better like grasp on like how the world works and what my goal is, or why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, and especially when it comes to the plant system. And I don't feel that way yet. So I don't know if that's coming.
It seems like a game like kind of like Tunic or whatever, where you just have to like really
And honestly,
figure it out.
I mentioned this last week because there was a person who was saying something about this game and was alluding to like a really fascinating like side quest or whatever, and it made me immediately think of the Golden Path and Tunic, and I was like, that sounds really exciting. I of course want more experiences like that, and I don't know if this is that game, if this is going to have that kind of like mind-blowing moment. But I fully intend to find out, because I do think there's something really interesting happening here. I'm just not entirely sure what it is yet, which is very strange. Oh, one other thing too that I think is kind of a neat idea is like when you do fight things, if you reuse the same attacks on an enemy, it like when you do harvest their organs at the end, their organs are like battered and like destroyed or whatever, so you get less nutrients out of them. So if you mix up your attacks and like juggle enemies and stuff and like bounce on them, and as opposed to just slashing them over and over with your sword or whatever, you get more nutrients out of it that way. So it like really incentivizes you to like try and, I mean, it's not a super deep combat system, but it really forces you to kind of like think about how you're attacking instead of just like button mashing, which I think is kind of cool. But yeah, Ultros, man, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird, but it's really fucking pretty and kind of overwhelmingly so.
Yeah, but I think it got a pretty bump. I think the Open Critic got a bump.
No, dude, I think honestly, I think the way this game looks, despite it being like artistically impressive, I think the way this game looks may have done it more harm than good. Because I think more people are probably docking points from this for being overwhelming in its visual style than being pretty.
No one would even be talking about this game if it wasn't immediately eye-catching. Let's be honest.
I mean, that might be true, but at the same time, I don't think I've seen anybody talk about this game without also saying something to the effect of it's sensory overload. And that can
but at the same time they're praising the visuals and the colors.
Right. It's visually striking. There's no way around it, but it is just.
What are you playing this on? Are you playing this on your Steam OLED?
I'm playing on I have played some on OLED, but I'm playing on.
That might be why it's overwhelming, right? The colors just popping.
No, I'm playing it on. I've played most of it on my PC, on my desktop. So but I have done a couple sessions on my OLED, and it's not as, I mean, it looks vibrant either way. So strangely enough, I kind of expected it to be overwhelming on the OLED, but I think it's overwhelming.
All I know is I smell the 76, and I feel a little cheated here. But I think it's unique, and it's got a unique art style. It's got a unique plan system, so people are giving it little brownie points for that, and I feel cheated.
Fantasy Critic was the worst thing to happen.
Yeah, Fantasy Critic really is turning you into a horrible person, Brad.
I mean, I think the game looks cool. I might play it if I find time, but it's a pretty busy season. So
yes, it is. Yeah, Ultros. But, I think it's
the kinds of things that you find time to play when you don't care about Japanese games, right, Nick?
I have been playing so much Persona 3.
Persona, like I hate to say it.
But you're gonna say it anyways.
Persona is casual as fuck. I mean, it's like the next accessible RPG series after Final Fantasy.
What do you want from me, Brad? I don't understand.
Nick, I just did the math in my head, and I realized that
I want you to be brave and try a Falcom game.
The more people that are on this show for the recording, the less shit talking Brad does.
And I feel like I have less time to fill with shit talk.
So what we need to do is have like 7 people on for the rest of the year. Every
basically
episode.
Just make it so that Brad can't even talk, can't even get a word out edgewise.
And we might have the best year ever for this website.
I really can't believe you're the one who's encouraging me to play more Japanese games.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
And I was over here playing Persona.
Jokes aside, Nick, I'll be proud of you if you hit those 10 points.
If
I'm gonna hit those 10 points by June, baby.
You're not gonna get Daddy's love there, Nick. You're never gonna get it.
Part of this is like part of this is because I want you to actually just finish your fucking food, Nick. My God,
bro, I finished so many games. I finished more games than anybody here, probably, except for maybe Chris Davis.
You're right. And how many of those are Japanese? That's my point.
Not a lot, which is why I'm doing this. But don't ever tell me I don't finish my food, quote unquote. I
tried to get you to play Dio2. I tried to get you to start Wolong.
Wait.
Now you're going to play Rise of the Ronin, not because you're super on board with it, but because it's got points now, baby.
Hey, what? No, that's not fair. I was interested in Rise of the Ronin before you gave it.
I know, interested enough to put it on your shelf, sucker. All right, let's move on.
This motherfucking troll. I can't believe this. Hey, you know what? I said the other day, I was like, hey guys, I'm going to stream tonight because I'm trying to stream on Monday nights again. And I was like, but I don't really know what to play because I feel like none of the stuff I'm playing is particularly stream worthy, right? I'm playing Ultros. It's kind of a chill game. No one's really going to be interested to watch it, I don't think. I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3.
I bet they would.
Last time I played Baldur's Gate 3, it was like playing to a wall half the time. Like nobody was talking. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I was like, people were like, Nick, I don't know what you're talking about. You should play Persona. We'd love to see that. So I streamed Persona last night, and it was good for about 20, 30 minutes. And then people just stopped talking.
Well, look, you're maybe discussing another topic here entirely. Sadly.
Maybe. No, but there were people.
Hey,
they were
play
there.
Balatro, dude. Play Balatro.
Dude,
People
it's one of those things. Look, I'm not
too.
Look, I know I'm not like a pro streamer, right? I know I'm not like the most entertaining streamer, but like,
they're not the most entertaining chatters all the time.
It's Baldur's Gate, man. Like if Baldur's Gate, like one of the best water cooler games probably ever made, I would say.
You're right, but Nick.
And it's one of those things where I always go, "Hey guys, are y'all still with me?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're here."
Like, everyone's just a little tap the fuck out on Baldur's Gate. That's the reality.
Right. So I just don't know. I just don't know what to play. They tried to assure me that Persona 3 would move the needle. I don't think
you
it did.
You got to do a trailer talk, dude. You got to do a trailer talk.
Maybe I should start doing trailer talk. Maybe I should just.
I think you should
do my own trailer talks, do my own venting and shit.
Let me tell you, I've learned a long time ago that people don't want to watch me play games.
They just want to. They want to hear you talk about them.
Hear me talk about them or talk to them. You got to be get in the hot tub, Nick. Get in the hot tub, baby.
Get in the hot tub. Maybe I'll try that next week. I like talking about video games, so it's a good idea. All right. How are we doing on time? Okay, we're about to hit an hour here, so why don't we take a break?
Yep.
And when we come back, we'll talk about Tomb Raider Remastered. What do we call it? Is it Tomb Raider 1 through 3 Remastered? Is that like the official title?
Yes.
Okay. We'll talk about Tomb Raider 1 through 3 Remastered, and probably Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth some more. And of course, we will wrap up with the 4-player minute, as we always do. So if you're watching us live or listening at home, don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this short break. Brad, stop trying to make dicks with your voice.
He's just thinking about that dick.
People listening at home who may not already be familiar with this joke probably have no fucking idea what we're talking about. But anyways, huh? Brad,
I'm making waveform dicks over here.
You're making waveform dicks. Stop making dicks for a second and tell us all about. I've actually been looking forward to this for a while because I can't quite get a read on this game. Tell us about Tomb Raider 1 through 3 Remastered, baby.
Yeah. Roll that beautiful footage.
I've been looking forward to this all week.
I want to start by saying that
it looks nice. I've
been looking forward to this. I've been dreading it. I've been worried about it because I think the developer that made this is really bad and bad. Their Aspyr is known for making pretty honestly pretty poor ports of cool games, right? Like kind of doing nothing with them, and then them also having weird technical issues. Like, come on, dude, this is a 20-year-old game, and you couldn't even get it on a modern system without frame rate issues. There are good games that have received bad scores because of their ports. And so when I heard, and this is also the studio that was going to quote unquote remake KOTOR, and as soon as that was announced, I'm like, not Aspyr, because they are not capable. They can't even put out fucking Jedi Outcast without it running like shit, right? So how are they going to remake KOTOR? And sure enough, it was just taken away from them because they're just bad or whatever. They're like, no, they're not going to remake it. They suck.
Brad, your constant switching between the old and the new visual style is making me dizzy.
Oh, yeah, pay attention. So when I heard that they're going to remaster Tomb Raider 1 through 3, I'm like, all right, they're going to fuck this up. And it came out and it's fine. Honestly, it's probably one of their better efforts, right? Like they actually did some remastered visuals, probably with the help of AI. I don't actually know, but This is Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 remastered, meaning it's the classic games as the bones, but it has newer visuals. Now, I was looking forward to this game because I'm a big fan of classic Tomb Raider, but getting them running on like modern systems, first of all, they're not really available on anything except PC, right? And kind of getting those first three games just running like you want them to, it's just it could be kind of a headache. So I've always wanted like a nice modern accessible version to be able to play these games, so I was looking forward to these games even if I thought they might be like a bare bones port or whatever. I just wanted these to exist for a long time, and they exist now, and that makes me happy because now I
Is
can
this
play
footage that
classic
you're?
Tomb Raider.
Is this footage from
Yeah.
Tomb Raider 2?
Yeah,
Or
too. Notice how slow she's climbing to the side. This was insanely slow back in the mid 90s, right? And this is an example of how should I say this? The kind of thing that maybe they should have tweaked if they were going to tweak anything. Because the big thing here is that at its core, it's still classic Tomb Raider, but they did do some modern controls, quote unquote, right? But they didn't actually. They just sort of unlocked the tank controls, kind of like a Resident Evil remake. I mean, Resident Evil remake did, right? Where, or some of those Resident Evil games early on, where they were tank control games, but they put in like modern controls, so it was, but the games weren't really built that way, so you were going from like static shot to static shot and like the analog stick direction, which you know what I'm talking about, right? You're looking at me weird.
well,
Like Resident
yeah.
Evil 0 or I think maybe
Oh,
had some modern controls,
right.
or
I think you're right, but I don't think I've ever actually played them with anything other
yeah,
than like
it
the
doesn't
regular
really
tank
work
controls.
well. But even that, those are like very like slow paced games where your feet are on the ground. This is a precision platformer. So to take a game that's built around tank controls and just all of a sudden rip the tank controls right out of it is very jarring. It's very strange. And it doesn't, it's very messy
You can still play
because
with regular tank controls, though, right?
you can play with regular tank controls, and I highly recommend learning it because these old Tomb Raider games are built on a grid system where, um, the world is built around like her mechanics, her skill set. So you have everything you need to like play the game effectively, and a lot of it, I've talked about this before, but you walk to an edge to where you can't walk anymore, and then you do one back hop, and now you have the exact amount of distance you need to make a max distance jump, which means if there is a makeable jump in front of you, you will make it if it is makeable. Does that make sense? Because you've
Kind
done
of.
one back hop from the edge. And that's part of like this tank system, right? Where um you kind of know the distance of everything because it's built on this grid, and so classic Tomb Raider is a very like challenging platformer. It's very realistic. It's easy to die. Like you slip off an edge, you run off an edge, and you're gonna eat shit and you're gonna die and you're gonna have to reload. It's very unforgiving in that way, but it was built around these rules that once you learn them and got comfortable with these mechanics, you really could feel confident in your jumps, as opposed
Right.
to like, oh god, I can die at any slip, right? And the tank controls kind of, or the modern controls kind of remove all that. It adds a sense of like sloppiness to it, and it feels like it's just been hacked in, which it has, because this is still classic Tomb Raider at its core. It was never meant to play this way, so it's very sloppy, including like the camera. They give you a free moving camera with the right analog stick, but this game is never really built for that, and it's not really well designed. Like it's really easy to take for granted like good quality camera design, because good camera design is camera design you don't really notice. But here it just feels hacked in, and it's constantly getting stuck and swirling around, and it's not meant
It's
for
not a
this
smooth
game.
experience.
It's not even
So
close to a smooth experience. It feels like someone hacked in a camera control. Let me show you something. If you can look at the screen, they did some of the cool things they did visually. Are they put holes in like caverns, so more light can come in, because the new graphics has like a lighting system that the original didn't have. But it leads to awkward things of like, is this something I can interact with it? And I switched the graphics and I realized, oh no, this is just one of those holes that they added in for more lighting, and it's not really something I can jump through. I mean, that doesn't happen very often, but it's funny when it does. So it does have these new visuals, but the thing is, some of it looks good, and then some of it looks really jarring because of the way they did it. Tomb Raider is not just built on a grid, but it's built on these like blocks and geometric shapes. Like everything is very like right angle, like 45-degree angle, whatever. It's very geometric. So just making the
Polygonal.
textures of those things high res, or like using an AI to make the rock pattern be like nice smooth pebbles or whatever, however they did it. I don't know if it was actually AI, but has big AI energy, just means that there's like a really highly detailed texture on a cube. And it's like back in the day that was fine, because this is a mid 90s game, and that was an acceptable look. But with the way they did the visual upgrade, now it constantly looks
Jarring.
cheap. It looks cheap. It doesn't look like a modern game. It looks like a early 2000s game in parts, right? So there's like a mix of like, oh well, the lighting is nice, there is like a visual upgrade here, but then you're constantly running into shit where it's like, the seams of different textures are connecting in a straight line, every single one of them, and that looks wrong sometimes, and it's jarring. It takes you out. It's immersion breaking in a way that the classic visuals never really were. And here is my problem: they didn't do 60 FPS for the classic visuals.
I was gonna say
it's locked to 30 frames a second. I want to play the game with the old visuals, but the high frame rates only exist with the new visuals, even though they're running at the same time. I don't understand why they couldn't figure out how to do the higher frame rates with the
this
classic
is like
visuals.
This is like the Halo thing, right? Where you can
hit
toggle
a
back
button.
and forth. So you're telling me every time you toggle back to the old style, which happens
frames a second.
instantaneously, it's
Yes.
immediately dipping to 30 frames per second?
30 to 60. 30
So
to 60.
let me ask you this, Brad. So you are a strong proponent of the open lore project, right?
Yeah, and I know that you can get the classic games running at high frame rates with open lore, but I wanted a nice, easy, accessible version of Tomb Raider without jumping through any hoops and messing with all that stuff.
Well, what I wanted to ask was, like, I wonder if this was less of a creative decision and more of a technical one. Like, I'm granted, I can't speak for the budget this game had and the personnel that they had working on it, but I'm like, I'm just wondering whether it could be
seem like something that
I'm just asking.
I think the reason they did it, Chris Davis, is to make the new visuals look better when you swap them back and forth. I think swapping to the old visuals is a gimmick, and they don't expect people to actually want to play that way. Except I do, because I don't like Tomb Raider looking weird and jarring at times, nice sometimes, and then like, what the fuck is this? And there are times where like it does look nice sometimes, but there are times where they just fuck it up. Where I've posted videos, well, maybe have I posted on Twitter and stuff in Discord, where they're like, you get to the Lost Valley in Tomb Raider 1, and at the start of that level is a rushing stream where you're doing platforming over and around, and if you fall into it, the rushing stream takes you down a waterfall. There's like a current and it pulls you there. The old visuals have rushing water. The new visuals, it's just static water, like any other water in the game. And it's like, this is stupid. I hear like later in the game, there's like a whirlpool, and the new visuals, static water. They don't even show the whirlpool. And it's like, I know you mean well, but like, like, I hate the belief that like, we talked a little bit about like Half-Life, and stuff. Like, I hate the fact that people treat old visuals as like lesser than, because our eyes will adjust to old visuals. Like, these were visuals that looked good in its time, and my eyes will adjust to that, and I can get immersed in something that looks old, but I can't get immersed when something is constantly looking stupid or jarring. Like, I booted up Tomb Raider 2 to see like, oh, I wonder if Tomb Raider 2 does a little bit better with some of these textures, and I was taking even more out of it, because you start that in like a jungle, right? Kind of jungle-y cave area before you get to the Great Wall. And it's just like the textures on these things, they look I think they look terrible. And there are times when like the classic visuals, like you get on the boat in like Venice and Tomb Raider 2, and like you're riding the boat in the classic visual, and there's like a wake behind the boat. And in the new visuals, there's just like some smoke. And it's like, what the fuck were they doing? It seems
that's weird.
Okay, so
but the thing is, it's not like, it's great that these exist, and it's great that aspects of it, like people really like the lighting, but they fucked that up too. There are secrets in Tomb Raider like 2 and stuff that are supposed to be in pitch black, and you have flares in the game. And it's like, you're not supposed to be able to see that deep underwater in pitch black. There's a secret down there, because classic Tomb Raider is notorious for really hard to find secrets. Except in the new visuals, there's no darkness down there. You can just see the secret as you're like swimming over it, and it's not even hidden. And it's like, what are you? This is whack.
Man, this makes me wish that like Night Dive had done this.
Because Night Dive would have been actually. There are things here like, remember early on when I told you like she's climbing super fucking slowly. If you're gonna modernize the controls, speed that up a little bit. Because the way they did it was they tried to put like more modern lore controls in the game, which this game's not built around it. And if people wanted to play a game that didn't play like classic Tomb Raider, they could just play Tomb Raider Anniversary. That remake that Crystal Dynamics did is a really good remake of the original Tomb Raider, but they designed the world around a new modern controls, and they didn't have the same style of platforming. They changed it up, and it was actually a really, really impressive remake of that first Tomb Raider.
Okay, so Brad,
yeah, sorry.
All right,
I have a lot to say.
So the question I wanted to ask about 10 minutes ago was, I'm wondering, based on it from your perspective, is it possible that because this is Aspyr, that this remaster had a limited budget? And I'm wondering, like, with the old style visuals, could it be something as simple as they had only the code and the framing of character animations for 30 frames per second, and they didn't want to go through the effort of actually creating a 60 frame animation cycle for everything?
Look, I mean, I thought I already answered this, but I don't know, and I don't care really. I feel like I don't have to care. All I'm saying is they put in the classic visuals as a gimmick and not as here. I feel like I'm showing. Am I showing the lighting here? This is another room that was like really dark, where you're not supposed to be able to see the switch, but you just can't. I also hate how you can just see Laura, and well, whatever. I'm ranting about these visuals.
Okay,
when
so
some of it's actually like really impressive. Like when I'm in this sort of indoor, like Venice room, like you don't really notice, like some of the visual upgrades are actually kind of nice. It's more the outdoors, the more natural environments where it's actually the most jarring and kind of weird and dumb. Here it's fine.
I want to ask you this. Okay, so from everything you've been talking about, it seems like there is a mix of over adherence to source material, while at the same time trying to do modernizations that do not match with the original gameplay
and do not work
formulas.
I mean, I also don't think over adherence to the source material isn't an accurate descriptor either, because it is literally the source material
running underneath.
Running, it's the bones like that.
It's so much so that like dumb menu things like you could always save anywhere, but you had to like go into the menu, go down, select the book, go over to save. Like they didn't put in a more modern save system. You still have to fucking do that, which is insane that they couldn't come up with like a quick save system. Like that doesn't feel modern at all, right?
Well,
like there's so many quality of life things they could have done. Like Tomb Raider 2 is notorious for having really frustrating enemies, and a lot of them enemies with guns that'll just shoot you and you can't do anything about it. Just like their bullets are going to hit you, and it's very fucking frustrating. They could have put in accessibility stuff to maybe, I don't know, or they could have just actually done the work to like tweak it to where they don't do as much damage now, or it's just there's so much
that would require messing with the bones. And that's not what they seem to have done here. Which I'm not saying that in support of this. I'm saying that like another reason why I keep going back to like why I think I feel like it would have been a better fit for something like Night Dive, because Night Dive seems to be all about that, like going down and messing with the systems underneath to make a better product. And here it's weird because like on one level, some of these remasters seem kind of impressive, and it's also nice to have the more accessible version. Because these games are, let's be honest, these games are hard to play these days without jumping through hoops. So it's nice that these exist. It's nice that this exists, but like it does at the same time. It feels like a cash in.
But like with the Turok games, you know, they do stuff like, oh, well, we have objective markers in the game. Classic Tomb Raider is notorious. Like the gameplay is figuring out where to go, how to get there.
So that is my question.
Game asking me to do.
Yeah, that is my question. Like Aspyr, have they included any updated, quote unquote, modernized player education in the game, like a standard tutorial, or like
this modern control system and these awkward graphics? And the modern control systems are fucking messy. I could see someone trying them and saying, this is a fucking mess, and not want to play this game. It is already kind of hard to go back to play these games, even if you play them the classic 10 controls ways. It's asking a lot of the player. It's asking the player to be patient, and it's asking them to learn them. But you can learn them. You know why? Because classic Tomb Raider had really good tutorials built into them. In the Croft Manor, you could go there and they explain the platforming mechanic. Laura will actually talk to you and tell you how to platform in the Tomb Raider games. And it's amazing. It's brilliant. But that's part of what I was asking. Controls.
But I'm also curious, like, without switching to the retro graphics, how does the game educate the player as to the interaction with the world? Like there are multiple instances in this footage where Laura is climbing on walls that there is no visual, like, normal mapping to tell me that I should be able to climb this.
Well,
so I'm wondering, like, is that
what you're saying is not true? Like there's like very clear rules about like the ledges that you can grab on. Like again, everything's built on a grid. If you can jump and grab something, it's going to be the height at which she's going to reach it, and if she can reach it, she's going to be able to grab onto it.
Okay. Well, there's this pretty texture you were climbing along earlier very slowly. That if I would not have been experimenting directly with it, I would not have realized I could do that.
Oh,
that's all I'm saying.
It was a ladder. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that was just a ladder texture, but as far as like the actual like geometry of the world, there's like pretty clear cut rules. Like it's not like it's actually the more modern like Crystal Dynamics games were actually a lot more like sloppy with that, where you get into the area of, you know, yellow paint, right? What can I grab on and what can I, right? This ledge is made for me. This game's not like that, you know. There's a reason I think people really like these classic games. And I'm glad they exist, and I'm glad they can be appreciated. But I feel like a new player is not going to be patient enough to like really figure these out. I mean, some people might. Now, I'm really happy for that, and I'm glad personally that there's. Look at this weapon switching. In the original graphics, when you pull your weapons out, it would zoom way out, right? And the new graphics, it just doesn't do that. And I'm like, why? Why is it not? Why? Aspyr. I want to commend them, because this is a lot more than anything they've done for the other games that they've done. So, you know, this game actually got pretty good reviews, and I'm not entirely sure why. Because
is it just because people really miss classic Tomb Raider?
That could be part of it, yeah.
There's that, and you know, I think on paper you could say, oh, well, they put in some modern controls, right, and some new graphics. You know, that's some effort. You know,
it's effort, but like nobody wants to play with those.
This is new. This is new. There you go. There's some quality of life that's new. The exclamation point. So it can be really awkward, like picking up items and interacting with switches in the original Tomb Raider, because you have to kind of line up in a certain way, and you don't really know when you're standing over the item, when you hit the button, is she actually going to reach down and pick it up? Now there's exclamation point that pops up when you're actually in range, where she's going to like move to the button and press it or pick up the item. Nice little quality of life thing. I just wish there was a lot more of that, because these games there's a lot of friction here. These are not easy games. I still maintain that Tomb Raider 3 is one of the hardest games ever made. It's fucking insane. The only way I even played through portions of some of these games back in the day is with cheats. I mean, they had cheats in them to, like, you know, get your health back and shit like that.
Do those cheats still work?
level skips. I have no idea.
Probably.
I mean, if it really is just layering stuff on top of the existing foundation or the existing bones of the original games, I bet you those codes still work. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. In an effort to move on, I do want to just Tomb Raider related. There's starting to be more and more talk about the new mainline entries in this franchise. As of right now, Tomb Raider has not felt the swift death of Embracer.
Well, the only reason that's happening is because Amazon bought exclusivity for the license. So
there we go.
Yeah, Amazon money is paying for it.
So that's good. That is good. So here's what I wanted to bring up. Well, I mean, it's I think it bodes well for the potential of getting a new Tomb Raider. I mean, we're not going to get a new Deus Ex, at least not anytime soon, I guess. But so it's nice to see Tomb Raider maybe surviving that. But anyways, that's neither here nor there either. I just wanted to ask because I thought it was really strange. Crystal Dynamics on their website this week was like, here's the new Laura, whatever, and it's since come out there like this is not intended to be like the character model we're going with for the next mainline entry in Tomb Raider, but like they're starting to like talk about it and like the reaction to this like redesigned Lara was like pretty positive. I think it looked very much more in line.
You got me calling her Laura. How dare y'all?
Sorry.
I want to call her Laura to the day I die. So whatever.
Laura. Let's not go down that road again. My question. I just want to know, like, what do we think? If we want to talk about where Tomb Raider is now, what do you think we should realistically expect from this new Tomb Raider game in terms
of
my
perspective? I feel like that Crystal Dynamics is so just ingrained in the previous generation of Tomb Raider's gameplay things, but there is also this level of appreciation for Core Design's original work that I think we might get somewhere in the middle.
I mean, it did somewhere in the middle, and it was called Tomb Raider Anniversary. That was Crystal Dynamics. I'm telling you, there's no fucking way that a new Tomb Raider game would be anything like it, because modern Tomb Raider is nothing like classic Tomb Raider. I mean, the closest modern example to anything even remotely Tomb Raider is like a Dark Souls game.
Well, no. But here's the thing. Those three, the reboot trilogy, right? Those games came out. They ran their course. They were very successful. They were very popular. But now we have them suddenly kind of out of the blue saying, here's the remasters of these three classic Tomb Raider games. Remember what Tomb Raider used to be like? I know it's a different company, but like it's an IP. It's like there's reasoning behind putting this game out at this point. And I do feel like whatever this new Tomb Raider game is going to be, it's not just going to be a sequel to Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I think it's going to be noticeably different in some way. Like, and to me, I think I'm kind of in line with Chris Davis here. I tend to think that maybe they're going to try and find a way to kind of bridge the gap between these two design sensibilities.
But I don't even know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. But like, I mean, I'm hoping that the next Tomb Raider game is more of a platformer than a shooter. But I also like shooting. Like I like the action moments.
The thing is, the problem isn't that it needs to be a platformer. The problem is that the platforming in a modern quote unquote Tomb Raider game or like Uncharted game is not actually platforming. It's just transition bullshit that has no stakes. So like,
well, I think that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, it needs to have stakes. They need to bring back stakes. It needs to be less sticky,
mechanically interesting as well.
I mean, it needs to try to not be an Uncharted clone.
For starters,
I think they should. There's two realistic options. I think they either do something like that's slower paced and like horror, which might get people like Nick excited, which is fine.
It would.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, I like the kind of Metroidvania stuff they were doing, like that aspect of it being like an Uncharted type game. I wish they leaned more into it being like open world.
I still remember us talking about
unless like
open world Tomb Raider before they announced the reboot, and I'm still hoping that's a thing that could happen.
These fucking they kind of did that with like the newer.
They kind of did.
A little bit. But it's still like pretty. I mean, still these shooting sequences with fighting soldiers and stuff nonstop.
Hey, look,
it just becomes Uncharted. I think
they
need to make it like a horror game or like a Souls game. Just like really rethink it and say like, we're approaching this like Dark Souls, and that's how you're going to channel classic Tomb Raider.
Maybe, but like, you also got to think too. Like we're in the mid. Like Uncharted as a franchise is now in a hiatus, right? We are in the middle of a thing where like Uncharted has moved to the back of people's mind in a lot of ways because there hasn't been a new game in years. And if Tomb Raider now has an opportunity to come out and be top of mind and like flip the script a little bit, because obviously Tomb Raider heavily influenced Uncharted, and now we have maybe an opportunity for them to do the reverse and maybe have a new Tomb Raider come out and create something new that's not as reliant on the legacy of Uncharted. You know what I mean? Like, I want Tomb Raider to come to the forefront again. Uncharted had its moment, and it could come back at any point, but Tomb Raider's the OG, right? Is this their moment to come back and say, hey, let's do something new?
I think what they do is really de-emphasize the shooter aspects of the previous generation of Tomb Raider, and they make it open world. But the whole conceit is that you are going around the map exploring and finding these elaborate tombs that are platforming puzzles to explore. Scale up exactly what you had with the puzzles tombs from the last generation of Tomb Raider, and I think that's what they're going to go for.
You know what I want? I want, like, they were dabbling with it, and everyone calls it this Crystal Dynamics reboot trilogy, but they did a reboot trilogy before that as well.
Yeah,
they dabble with it in like Underworld, and one of the things that I think is really cool about the two classic Tomb Raider games, outside of the first one, but starting with 2, is that they had levels with like vehicles in them. Like you notice I have the boat here in Venice, and I'm in such a small portion of this map, so you don't really get to see. But like the previous level, it's all about getting this boat into all these different areas and like getting out off the boat and like unlocking doors and the way you transition, kind of like in a way you use like a vehicle in something like Half-Life 2, right? And that was what they were doing with classic Tomb Raider back then, and it was fucking cool. And they did a little bit of that in Underworld, and I really feel like that's something. I missed that jump. Watch me miss that jump 3 times, or I forget to hit the grab button.
We can maybe stop looping the footage at this point.
Yeah. I would really like to see, not just an open world game, but one focused more around like vehicles to kind of get around and whatnot. I always want that out of my open world things, but
if they're going to use any Uncharted game as like as a reference point, like Lost Legacy.
Yeah,
but Lost Legacy was just cribbing off the shit Tomb Raider was already doing. The first, like, Tomb Raider 2012 or whatever the fuck, was already more open world than any Uncharted game. They were close to something really good. They just kept leaning in and focusing on the wrong things, like the survival stuff and the combat, and it's just they were close. They were close. Some of the aspects of all of those games were actually quite good, but they weren't classic Tomb Raider. I don't think they'll ever get back to this, and I don't think they're ever going to try, because there's not even indie devs making this kind of game anymore.
Except for Pseudo Regalia.
I mean, kind of, but even that is like a very different kind of, like, that's still like more Mario 64 in its mechanics than like classic Tomb Raider, actually. But if indie devs don't even care, right? Then why would a boardroom care?
But hey, you know what? And I don't think we say it enough, because we spend so much time talking about how Tomb Raider controls versus old classic versus modern, right? And that's true. It's all absolutely valid, of course. But like, one thing that classic Tomb Raider did too, that I don't think the reboot trilogy did, or at least it went for something totally different, and I would wish they would get back to, is just the vibe, like the tone, the atmosphere of Tomb Raider 1 through 3 still feels pretty unique.
They're scary. They're isolating. It's like almost like Metroid or like a Souls game. There's something, these games were special, and I don't
want waves of dudes. I want to fight a tiger. You know what I mean? Like,
well, there are parts of Tomb Raider 2 that feel like crazy, but there was never like sequences. There were things in an environment that you stumbled into, and they just felt like, they had trigger points, but it wasn't like in some of the other later Tomb Raider games, where it's like, here's the combat sequence and here's the vehicle sequence, like it wasn't like that. It was Souls. It felt more Soulsian, Gygaxian. Damn it, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, this is Tomb Raider 1, which came out in 1996. This was like, you had Mario 64 and you had Tomb Raider, and this was like two visions of what a 3D game could be. One was birthed from like 2D Mario into 3D Mario, and one was like, classic like 2D Prince of Persia, like the cinematic platformer, but in 3D. And that's why everything is very deliberate and dangerous, right? And at the time, in this game, in this footage, there's like a dude with a gun, that like a reoccurring boss character that just shows up in these levels at random times, and it's like, oh shit, this dude's shooting at me, and you shoot him, you fight him off a little bit, and he runs off, but he's kind of, you can follow after him and still keep shooting at him and stuff, and it's just, it's very like Mr. X, right? Or like, Nemesis. There's just like this dangerous being, and there's no introduction, there's no cutscene. It's just a dangerous being in a level, in multiple levels, that's just like this threat, and you never know when he's going to pop up. Well, if you've played the levels before, but I'm saying, like, that was such a cool thing back then. Like, the vibes, man, are so different in these classic games. It's crazy. I don't know.
All right.
I'm just glad people can buy them.
I think, at the moral of the story, too long didn't read. I'm glad you can finally play these games.
I love these games. I love classic Tomb Raider. Actually, Tomb Raider 3 can go fuck itself, but I'm still going to give my best effort again.
You know what?
That game is mean. It is, fucked up.
This is what I'll close with. I will believe, like, if we get a new Tomb Raider game, this is when I'll know. If she can do the what do you call it, when she's getting out of the water or like pulling herself up from a ledge, if she can do the handstand, right? If we can get back to, if we can,
first reboot trilogy, man.
No, yeah. I mean, but they clearly got away from that and the more action oriented, right? The Uncharted clones, right?
But like the image showed Lara wearing green with dual pistols, right?
But that's what the thing, like, Crystal Dynamics came out and said, just to be clear, this art you're looking at is not the Lara from our new mainline entry. They just said this is just, they did it in celebration of like an anniversary.
And she's gonna learn how to survive yet again.
No, I see. I just, they've done that. They've clearly done that, and they need to get back. They need to kind of get back to basics. Try some new stuff. But if they can get back to her doing the handstand, I think that's a good sign. Anyways, we need to move on. I'm not going to talk about Persona this week, but I do want to give you all a chance to kind of talk more about Like a Dragon, because obviously.
Oh, I don't have much to say about Like a Dragon.
Well, I don't know about Chris Davis. Do you have more to say? But you've been playing. What is it? Dodongo.
Yeah.
Doko Island.
Dodonko Island. This game Island consumed me over this past weekend. I because I'm in the company of polite people, I am not going to say how many hours I put into it, but let's just say
we know you, Chris Davis. We know what that means.
It hurt
an unhealthy amount of hours. An unhealthy amount of hours.
In reflecting on that weekend, it hurt me. But like, yeah, I completed Dondako Island in one weekend.
Did you get a 5-star island?
That's a thing you can complete? I thought it was just a thing that's like never ending.
It can be never ending, but like you get to a certain point to where you've got a 5-star resort, you've done all the narrative stuff. All that's left at that point afterwards is just the mini game that you could repeat over and over and over again.
To be clear, we are referring to Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth's sleazy Animal Crossing is what we called it last week.
Well, it doesn't have to be sleazy.
I don't think it's sleazy. No. Let's stick with sleazy. I liked the use of sleazy. Also, like calling it Dong Island, because I don't know what it's actually called.
Dondoko Island.
Dong Doko Island.
Not Don Dong. You're Dong even messing Island. Me up at this point.
We're calling it Dong Island. Move on.
Okay, whatever. I mean, it was okay. I I've got complaints about it, like the fact that
you spent the entire weekend obsessing over it, and now it was just okay.
Because I wanted to get through it because it has a really good reward at the end that's very useful, and it's also useful for other things like upgrading your Sujimon so you can go do your not legally distinct not Pokemon battles.
Well, how do you feel about those? Because I feel like the Sujimon battles are just kind of wretched.
I don't think they're wretched. I think they're underdeveloped.
Yeah,
there could be a lot more to them if they wanted to be, but it really just becomes rock, paper, scissors at the end of the day.
And they're so level based too. Like if you're like a couple levels below, you're just not gonna like.
Or not even just levels. Like tiered, awakened, evolved Sujimon. Like it gets to the point to where like I could have a top tier Sujimon that's 10 levels under who I'm fighting against, and I can still kick their ass. So there's balancing that really needs to be worked on this. Yeah, there's really underdeveloped. They really could do more, but that's not the point of these mini games that are in a Yakuza game. It's the added spectacle of everything of these being combined into one product that our main protagonists have to go interact with, and it's always entertaining to see it happen. Like, say what you will about this franchise and RGT Studios' capability of massively reusing assets and gameplay ideas and mechanics, but the writing and situations they come up with make up for it almost every single fucking time.
I mean, let's be real. That's the only way they were able to make this many games in this amount of time. The reusing of assets and everything.
Like the man who erased his name was made in I think 6 months. That's like it started out life as like DLC for another Yakuza game.
Gotcha.
I need to stop saying Yakuza. It's Like a Dragon. That's what it's actually called. So I've put about 50-ish hours into the game total so far. And I'm only in chapter 7. So yeah, those are rookie numbers. I need to beef those numbers up. But I am just having so much fun with this game at every turn. Like even like the grindy aspects of a traditional RPG experience, like they're there, but they're not painful. Did
you get all the job classes?
I've unlocked all the job classes.
Did you do all the quizzes?
Yes, I've done all the certificates. I've done all that. I didn't cheat at all. I did pretty well.
So you failed a bunch, is what you're saying?
Oh, I failed like 10 or so. And unlike the previous game, maybe this was a case of the previous game. I could have sworn I remembered that once if you fail a test, that you didn't have to pay money to take the test again.
Oh,
but that's the case with this game. Okay, well I complained about that because that can be very expensive for maxing out your personality.
I don't know. I had money issues until I got to a certain point in Dondoko Island, and I just had so much money. I was like, oh man, I buy all the shit.
And that is my question. Like, this game's subtitle is Infinite Wealth. So I've gotten to the point in the story where I know what the MacGuffin is. I know what is happening pretty much. But like, if you're going to call your game Infinite Wealth, and you had such a fun, entertaining, and prosperous minigame in Like a Dragon 7, like, I'm waiting for that other shoe to drop of like, when can I actually start spending and earning good amounts of money in this game? Because like the only reward I've gotten financially that was substantial at this point was completing Dodonko Island.
Yeah,
Dong Island.
Oh, what's your favorite job classes?
Well, okay.
What's your favorite, Brad?
Right now, I've got
such a good housekeeper.
I don't like how you said that. Chi-Chan, I have her doing
the job classes are split between, women and men in these games. It's
like
the man could be a samurai or a cowboy or a surfer, and the lady can be, a
maid or
a housekeeper or
an heiress,
or a mistress, like a.
So what you're saying is the game is
bondage.
incredibly sexist.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
but they've come a long way since the early Yakuza games. I mean,
But they're still pretty.
they're
My
getting
God.
better. There's just like aspects here and there of like, come on, guys.
Get with the program.
It is. It really is. I have Ichiban running around as an Aquanaut right now.
Aquanaut is a title or is a job class?
Yeah, it's a job. He basically runs around in a wetsuit and his weapon is a surfboard, and he smacks people with it.
I just really want to see Chi-chan in a cowgirl outfit. God damn it! I mean, what the fuck? Why can't she be a cowgirl?
They were specifically teasing like there being a cowboy class, but no, they wouldn't do that. Because
what are you
why
talking
not?
about?
There is a cowboy
unlocked
class.
All the classes. There's certainly a cowboy class.
No, I'm saying that like again because of the switch up of job classes between the sexes, like is there actually a cowboy job class for Chi-chan?
Oh, I don't think
because
so.
because I think I've bought them all, and I don't think she has that.
Well, there's some when you go to Japan that are from the previous game, but no, there's no.
Okay, well, I haven't returned to Japan just yet because I know you do, but I haven't gone there.
Spoilers, jeez.
Oh, whatever. The game starts out in Japan on that same exact map. Like, there's no way. This is RGG. They reuse assets fucking constantly.
I know. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to start anything. Forgive me.
But it's I don't know. It's really
it's still a
really
very good video game.
I've got Chi-chan as a Kunoichi right now. I've got Adachi in my party right now. I'm having fun unlocking and upgrading all my classes. I like how there is this much stronger emphasis this time around in having your team members cycle through the job classes to upgrade and thus permanently upgrade your character overall. I like that. I like how you can inherit skills from job classes that you can use across all your classes. I like unlocking. I like the new balance of the combat to where it encourages combo attacks and directional attacks into your comrades to where they do extra damage and knock them over and maybe even do stats effects. Like it's really good. Like it's really refined over the previous game. I like this game. And it really here's the problem. I'm feeling the fucking time crunch to beat this game because next week is Rebirth and I really want to play Rebirth starting on launch day.
Man.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Guys. By the way, I finally went and I finally watched the State of Play, right, that they did. Don't get me wrong. I think it looks amazing. I don't know. I just don't know why. I feel like I should be more like fucking. I'm thinking. I keep forgetting that Rebirth is coming out. I'm thinking about Pacific Drive.
Wow!
And I'm like,
wow! Are you even gonna get that 1 point, Nick? What the fuck, dude?
No, I know. I have my priorities right.
Oh my god, Nick! You were saying the same shit about Tears of the Kingdom, and you know what? That shit ended up number 5 on your top 10 list. Rebirth is fucked.
Wait, why are we now suddenly worried about top 10 lists? It's fucking February.
No, I'm just saying.
Remember,
you were saying the same shit about Tears of the Kingdom. Going, I don't know, guys.
No. You know what I really think? You know what I really think it is? I think I'm being subconsciously hesitant because I felt so burned by Final Fantasy 16. Okay. I do think that's what's happening here because
you finished 16.
I did. I played 80 hours of 16, and it's still the most disappointing game I played last year, probably.
But this is gonna feel great coming from that because. But did you play the Yuffie DLC?
No.
Play the Yuffie DLC.
Play that Yuffie DLC. Right, it's really good.
To get prepped for this. I mean, it's like an essential. You can't just not play that.
How long is it?
It's like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's not long.
A little bit longer. If you do 4 Condor stuff, it's can waste some
maybe
time
I'll make that a priority this weekend. I don't know.
I mean that would be a good game to stream, Nick.
It is. It has a built-in tutorial just for Yuffie.
Why are you
So it will educate you as coming back after years of not playing Final Fantasy Remake. It will probably educate you. It's got a good story. The gameplay mechanics for Yuffie feel really good. She feels unique compared to all the other characters. Like, it's worth it.
I think you're forgetting how good that game is. And I bet you're forgetting how good it looks too. You're going to turn that DLC on and you're going to be like, man, this game's sick.
And playing it at 4K 60, like, damn.
I mean, I don't have Integrate. I just have like the base fucking game. I don't know. I mean, how does that work? I have it on PS. I mean, I guess I have the PS4 version.
No, you don't. I mean, no, you just play the PS5 version of the Yuffie stuff. Is PS5.
But how does that? Okay, we'll talk about that.
I
used my PS4 disc to play.
There's a free upgrade.
Yeah,
PS
it's a free
Plus,
upgrade.
I think it's on there.
I do have PS Plus, so maybe I'll get it that way. Okay. You all ready to final thoughts?
Sure.
Let's do this. Final thoughts, Brad. 4-player minute.
My final thoughts are Nolan can fuck off. Balatro was mine. That stupid motherfucker.
He's at home sleeping right now and just smiling.
Oh my God. I'm so mad. I get so angry. I don't even want to think about Fantasy Critic right now. It's frustrating.
And yet you can't stop talking about it.
My final thought is about Tekken. You know, I love me some Tekken, but it's harder to find. I mean, I want to get some games. I've been watching a lot of Tekken. You know, I've labbed some combos and stuff. You know, my Ling Xiaoyu has never been my main, but she's pretty strong. I've been watching lots of matches, and apparently she's like top tier. Like, I've been watching matches with Lings that are just like going nuts. So, dude, she's a beast, and she feels really powerful. Everything she does feels safe. She has pressure now. Like, her antics are more dangerous than ever. Just a really cool character. But I want to get online. I want to play with people in our community. Any of y'all good at Tekken? Let me know, because I want to get some matches in, and I don't want to fight any scrubs either. People who take it seriously.
Scrubs need not apply.
No, scrubs need not apply. I'll just beat you down. No, I want players who are good at the game. We're trying to get good at the game.
Is this an open challenge against Jaeger and Chai?
Jaeger and Chai, dude. No, they're. I'm not worried about them in Tekken. I'm looking for good players, like people who care about Tekken. No, I mean, I'll fucking fight them, but I'm saying they're not Tekken players. Like, in they're not the kind of Tekken player I'm looking for.
Do we even have that kind of Tekken player in our community?
Yeah, there's some.
Surely,
you know, we played when Tekken 7 was out. You know, like KNC Sito and stuff. But it's. I don't know. I don't have the time. And like, when I get invested, I get invested. And I'm a very competitive person, and I don't like, stopping after a couple of fights.
You don't say, Brad.
I'm the kind of person who will play, when I used to play Tekken, I would play for 12 hours straight, and then at the end of that 12 hours get mad because the other person wants to stop playing or the other people want to go home. And I'm like, no, dude. Fuck you, we're playing. That's just how I am, and I don't have that time anymore, so I don't know how to navigate this. I remember getting really upset when Tekken 7 was out, trying to kind of, Tekken can be really annoying when you're getting, like, the ways you can lose in Tekken can be really frustrating, but yeah, I used to take it very seriously. So, but I want to get some games in, so let me know if you want to get some matches in. If you have a good connection, wired connection, let me know. Hit me up. I'll mix you up with my Ling Xiaoyu. Where's JC? # bring Julia back. That's all. Bye.
All right, Chris Davis, you're up.
Okay, I'm going to split mine into two parts here. First, the bad news. So, you know how Sega is trying to earn back a lot of love from their community by bringing back classic games. They've already announced 5 reboots/remakes coming, and the rumor is there's an additional 5 beyond that. One of those is Crazy Taxi. Classic game. Any competitor has yet to surpass the quality of Crazy Taxi. There is a rumor going around that this new Crazy Taxi, while being a AAA title, might be a games as a service title.
And I heard something that maybe all of these Sega games are games as a service.
There's a good possibility of that too. Like Jet Set Radio is supposed to be an open world game that's also AAA, but it might be a service title. And I think we can all think back to how Sega's been handling service titles so far, like Hyenas. Remember that?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I
don't, Chris Davis. I don't.
That just throws out like any goodwill I would have had.
This is going to be like service games in the way that maybe you're thinking.
God, I hope it's not like that.
I mean, regardless, like it's not. It's just one of those like gut
these aren't even
right?
multiplayer games. I don't like. It might even be like service games in like a weird, subversive way. We're not even really thinking about. Kind of like the way all of these are kind of connected. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that tomorrow is a very big, heavy news day. So we
already know everything at the Nintendo Direct, and it ain't anything too exciting.
Well.
Wait,
so
we already know everything.
Everything got fucking leaked, man. Endless Ocean remake and shit, and there's interesting stuff, but nothing like nothing mind blowing.
This is supposed to be a partner direct.
Endless Ocean games. They're like from the Wii.
Yeah,
isn't that the game that David fell asleep to?
I don't know. It's the game where you go into the ocean and
swim with whales and shit. Pet fish. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
But the two things that are going to happen tomorrow. Xbox will be there, and the writing's on the wall. They're going to be showing off Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment being ported. That's not the big thing, though. The big thing is what happened this afternoon when Bandai Namco announced that we're going to get our first gameplay reveal of Shadow of the Erdtree DLC for Elden Ring.
Y'all would not believe the look on my wife's face when I told her. I showed her my phone. I got home and I was like, look at this, and I just held my phone up and she saw the Shadow of the Erdtree thing, and I haven't seen her that happy since our wedding day.
She
was so excited.
I heard some talk on Twitter about them releasing this around the same time as Dragon's Dogma.
June 21st, I think, is Wario64 is reporting June 21st.
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
As the release date.
This is according to a Billy product page.
To, steal sales from Dragon's Dogma 2. Show some fucking respect from software. Jesus Christ.
Well, I think June is big enough.
Good time. June's a good time
to do it, and
yeah.
And it's going to coincide with the Game of the Year edition of the base game too on PS5 and Xbox Series X and all that jazz. So
so this all stems from a Billy listing for it. They're talking about a Game of the Year edition and a new collector's edition with the DLC. But
just what I need.
This may be reading into it and maybe poorly worded, but there was perhaps the suggestion that Shadow of the Erdtree may be a standalone release, possibly even a standalone physical release from the base Elden Ring game. So, like,
that would be weird. I feel like that would be weird, but I've seen weirder.
But like the use of the word standalone in the store listing.
I know.
I don't know.
You're right. I mean, people will happily pay $40 for more Elden Ring.
Standalone better than the way they've handled DLC in the past, honestly.
Also,
that's true. If you're gonna treat it kind of like Horizon is always treated, like Burning Shores and what's the first one they did? The first one they actually did was a physical standalone release, and I can't remember the name all of a sudden.
For the first Horizon?
Yeah. The Frozen Wilds.
Frozen Wilds.
Yeah. Frozen Wilds was a standalone release, and I always kind of liked that model, especially if it's going to be like a big expansion.
I just hope it's not just a string of impossible bosses, because these From Software DLCs are just that, and
Well, it's not just a string of impossible bosses. It's a string of impossible bosses that are using the same exact skill set and rules of bosses you've already fought.
Okay, let's not jinx it before it's actually out. So we'll get our first good look tomorrow. I think it's supposed to be like a 3-minute trailer. So tomorrow we should have a pretty good idea.
Duo will be a boss.
We'll see. We'll have a better idea what this looks like. So maybe we'll talk about it next week.
Also, like real quick, the timing of this, like I'm wondering if this might be the point in which we get an Elden Ring port for Switch announcement.
Does people want that?
Elden Ring and Switch, like peanut butter jelly.
I don't think so. I don't think
it may run at like 480p and 30 frames per second.
Yeah, but that's a hard pass for me. For me, if you ask
people,
me.
I'm just saying, people would buy it.
Anyways, is my turn?
Yes.
Final thoughts? Let's see. I don't know. My brain's going in a million different directions this week because there's a lot of video games to play. I'm a little bummed about the reception of Pacific Drive.
What are you talking about?
I mean, here's the thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not losing faith in Pacific Drive. I think Pacific Drive is going to be fantastic. In fact, Pacific Drive.
What's the score?
I mean, it's like 78 right now.
For an indie game, that's perfectly
Stop
fine.
talking. Okay, here. You know what? Maybe I'll talk about that for a second. I know the idea of the indie tax is a real thing, right? It's a thing we like to throw around a lot. But I do think the quote unquote indie tax is not an arbitrary thing. It's not something that people are saying this game was a 90, but it's an indie game, so I'm just going to dock it 10 points for no reason. There's usually things that lead to, maybe I'm wasting my 4-player minute on this. I don't know. Yeah, because every time I talk about it, people are like, it is a real thing, Nick. And I'm like, I'm not saying it's not a real thing. I'm just saying my argument is that it's not an arbitrary thing. It is not people just docking points because it's an indie game. It's because an indie game is a certain. There's a lot of people who seem to think that. Is
Hollow Knight one of the best games of all time?
You could make an argument for it being one of the best games of all time, for sure.
Top 100. Doesn't it score like one of the best games?
I mean, it's a 90. What do you want? It's a 90. Like,
no, when it came out on PC, it was an 86 or an 87. Those are the scores that came out with zero baggage. With zero legacy. Not a year later when it came out on Switch and everyone knew it was a great game.
Here is the thing, and this is the reason that I think AAA games.
Also, the greatest games of all time are 96s and 97s, Nick. But go ahead.
You're right. You're fucking right. But I don't think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people are gonna get their pitchforks out when I say this. I think Metroidvanias are not necessarily the mainstream success that a lot of people seem to think they are. I mean, like I know people that they raise an eyebrow when they look at a Metroidvania because they're like, that does not look like something I'm interested in playing at all. And I feel like there's probably enough of those people out there that are just not as into this style of game that it's reflected in scores.
No, what? But what about like Metroid Prime?
What about Metroid Prime? Metroid Prime is a 3D action adventure game to a lot of people.
You're saying side scrolling. You're saying side scrolling.
I think there's a certain amount of people who see side scrolling Metroidvania style games and are like, this is not for me.
The indie tax though. You're saying like for a game to be worthy of tens, it has to look like this big budget AAA game. I mean you're describing.
That's not. Here's my.
It's just like
this is so frustrating. It is an impossible thing to fucking articulate because what I'm trying to say is there are so many games out there that I think score in the 90s that are AAA because AAA games are usually games developed. I mean, I don't want to like paint with a super broad brush here, but like more so than indie games are developed by committee, right? They're designed to be as to cast the widest net possible. They're mainstream is the goal because that is the market that they're being released into. They want as many people to like it as humanly possible, and because of that, the critics, the people who are reviewing these games, are being caught in the same net. Like they are part of that market. They are playing games that are designed to have as much mass appeal, quote unquote, as humanly possible, so they review better.
But I mean,
There's so many indie games out there that are playing to people who are enthusiasts, who have been playing, who just have a broader interest in video games than what is successful on a mainstream level, I suppose. And that is what is contributing to the indie tax. It's just, you know, you give Hollow Knight to 10 people, I feel like you're probably going to find 8 people that really loved it, people that are kind of like, I can see why it's good, but it's not really for me.
Okay, but you can also say that about, Elden Ring, right? It's fucking hard, but that's what, a 96. Here's the thing. Like, so some people have a hard time accepting the indie tax. What about the handheld tax?
Okay, first of all, I don't want you to accuse
me of being... The handheld tax was real. You know that handheld games never scored as high as console games. Not even close. And why? Because they're seen as lesser than. Because a handheld Zelda doesn't deserve the score that a console Zelda has.
What handheld Zelda are you referring to?
So I actually went on the Game Rankings archives and I was like, how many GBA games scored over 90? How many Nintendo DS games scored over 90? How many 3DS games scored over 90? If I can remember the numbers, it was 8, 7, and 6 3DS games over 90, right? I looked at how many 360 games scored over 90, and it was 42. That's a handheld tax. And I think it's because they see those games as lesser than, not deserving of the 10s. They deserve it at 9s. And I feel like indie games is similar. And maybe it is because the only thing deserving is a 10 is, a big God of War game, right? It has to have big, graphics and stuff. And I'm saying, that sucks, but it's real. And that's why I think indie
I feel like I've wasted my 4-player minute here because I was certainly not trying to argue that I think the indie tax is not real. And people I keep trying to articulate this thought, and I'm apparently not doing a very good job because people just keep turning it around on me, telling me that, no, Nick, the indie tax is real. And I'm like, I'm not arguing that it's not real. I'm just arguing that it's not arbitrary. There's a reason for everything. And I don't necessarily think the reason is critics are out here saying,
well, I think it's
an indie game, so fuck it. Like
I think it's subconscious. I don't even think they're consciously doing it. I just think, people don't even consider the 10s when they think about these games. And that's just how it is. Now,
I mean, I don't necessarily
consider
agree with
the 5 out of 5s. It depends on the rating system, right? Balatro can get 5 out of 5s all day. Can it get 10 out of 10s? No, it's not for that type of game. That's just, Deathloop can get 10 out of 10s because it's that type of game,
This all started with me wanting to talk about Pacific Drive, and maybe I should have just stuck with that. I don't know. I'm really excited to play Pacific Drive. That's kind of what I guess what I'm saying is I'm seeing the 78s or whatever, and I'm just like, I still think this game still feels very much like it has potential Game of the Year energy for me. Like, I'm super excited for Pacific Drive, especially after playing the demo.
The people who gave it those scores actually played it through it.
I know, and I fully intend to play it. And
also, Atomic Heart, right? I mean, 78's a good score.
Yes, Atomic Heart, one of my favorite games of last year, was a 74. So like,
Signalis was an 82.
I see a lot of people, especially in the Fantasy Critic channel, being really bummed about the 78 for Open Critic,
but
and
it's a game about points.
I know, but I worry some people don't forget to draw the line there, right? Be like, you can be disappointed in the points, right? But don't let that stop you from being excited for the game or playing the game. I mean, there are people who might concern.
Save money on a 78 and spend it on an 88. Playing the money, but because video games cost things. But I don't think anyone is taking Fantasy Critic too seriously when it comes to actually making purchasing decisions.
I hope not. I hope you're right. Anyways, we can drop it there. That was meant to be a short rant, I guess. So that's our show tonight, guys. Thank you for, of course, tuning in. Everybody who tuned in to watch us on twitch.tv/4Player Podcast. We appreciate anyone and everyone who shows up to watch these things every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central Time. In the meantime, guys, we'll be active in Discord as we always are. Discord.gg/4Player. Jump in there, say hello. If you're new, pop into that introductions channel. Let us know what you're playing. and we'd love to have you. Next week, I think we'll probably have a lot of news to talk about. And when is Rebirth the last day of the month? So it's like late
29th.
next
29th.
Okay, good. So we won't be talking about Rebirth next week. We have one more show.
Helldivers Day, baby. Oh wait, no, we'll talk about news. Well, maybe there won't be much news actually.
You know, that is one thing I kind of wanted to mention too. There's a Nacon. Is it Nacon or Nacon, right?
Yeah.
I said that right? Nacon event at the end of the month, which I normally wouldn't be super excited about, but they are going to give us our first look at Greedfall 2, and I've been I loved Greedfall, so I'm very excited to see the sequel. And I didn't know this existed, but apparently there's an open world Terminator game that's going to be revealed, and I don't know how to feel about that, but maybe it'll be cool. We'll see.
You are known for hating robos.
What's that? What'd you say, Chris Davis?
I said I can hope. Like the last Terminator game I played was pretty fun.
Yes, and we'll be sure to do a community night soon. Who knows? Maybe next week will be better for a community night than it is for a podcast. We'll see. We'll kind of play it by ear. But yeah, I on that note, I do want to organize some kind of Helldivers 2 night, because I do want to give that game an honest try. It sounds like a lot of fun. But we'll keep y'all posted. The Discord is the best place to be for that. But anyways, we'll see you guys next week. In the meantime, be good to each other. Play video games. Good night.